Welcome back to another Thigh video. Family, I am your boy, jayelevate, and we are about to levitate. If this is your first time browsing through the channel, subscribe. It's free. I know you looking for some fire sneaker content. I have been an avid sneaker collector since the 80s. Listen, I've touched tens and thousands of pairs of kicks, but today I have some special guests. Listen, I know I don't look like your grandpappy, but shout out to Jessica Skincare's Laboratories, keeping me looking absolutely good every time I step out. But today we do have first up Dr. Patel. She is a chiropractor, specializes in body alignment, posture, and spinal health. Welcome, Dr. Patel.
Thank you. So glad to be here. Well, my name is Dr. Patel. I've been a chiropractor for about 15 years now. And along with traditional chiropractic adjustments, my role is to really teach patients how to take care of their spine by giving them exercises, how to take ownership in your own health when it comes to pain and prevention, because prevention is the key. So really just my practice takes combination of adjustments, rehab, exercise, strengthening, all of that together so that you stay mobile for a long term.
I love to hear that. Next up, we do have another special guest, Dr. Nagesh. Now, he is coming from and dialing in from the Chicagoland area. He is a podiatrist and expert of foot health, biomechanics, and overall well-being. Dr. Nagesh, welcome.
Thank you, Jay. Thanks for having me. It's an honor to join your podcast, and love to help out, answer some questions. Like you said, name is Dr. Nagesh. I've been a board certified foot and ankle surgeon for almost 10 years. Our practice is in Oak Lawn, Illinois, a little southwest suburbs of Chicago. In our practice, there's 6 of us. We see a wide variety, a lot of sports medicine, a lot of trauma. We do have a residency program at Advocate Christ. And it's been a joy the past 10 years practicing, learning, helping train other professionals and residents. So thank you for having me.
I appreciate you. Definitely. I appreciate both of you all for being here. Now, today, we're going to take a deep dive and we will be exploring, does footwear really causes any issues, and what you need to do to prevent yourself from getting hurt and the longevity of your overall health. Now, we do have a couple questions coming up. Let's go ahead and get right into it.
Hi, jayelevate. My name is Melissa. I am from Jamaica. I love to watch your podcast. So thank you for letting me ask the question today. I'm so excited. So I work a 8 to 9 hour shift, and most of that I'm on my feet. So after my shift, most times I am having back, knee, and feet problems. So I would like a stylish shoe that I can wear to work and still look cute and classy. So is there any recommendation? Let me know, what would you recommend? Thank you.
Melissa, I appreciate you. I want to first tell you, styling is subjective. Comfort is a little bit more along the lines of less being subjective. But here's a popular kick that everybody loves to talk about, and that is the Air Jordan 4 Bread Reimagined. It has that SB shape that contours to your foot, and a lot of people love rocking this kick because it is stylish and at the same time is very comfortable. Now, something else that I would like to tell you guys about, which is the Yeezy 700s. You guys already know the Adidas 700 is an absolute phenomenal model when it comes to comfortability. So these are my 2 recommendations when it comes to work and you, as well as looking for a little bit of style. Now, with that being said, to both of you guys on here, I need to know, what are your thoughts on standing up all day on your feet? You know, your back, your ankles, knees are hurting. So Dr. Patel, first tell me, what are your thoughts about that?
You need a comfortable shoes. You need a comfortable shoes that doesn't have a huge heel drop, which is the back of the shoe. And you want to make sure that is as neutral as possible with a lot of cushion so that you can stand all day long and it absorbs the shock. So when it's able to absorb the shock, you're going to have a little bit less of a pain. Less of pain, more stability into your feet, And then it's going to keep your spine a little bit more aligned, spine and pelvis. So then it should reduce the pain.
I like that. I like that a lot. Dr. Nagesh, when someone said they stand on their feet all day, you're a podiatrist. Like, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I agree with that, Dr. Patel. She said it well. Depends on the amount of walking you do, the amount of standing, how much lifting. So there's a lot of variables into a person's job that go into effect into what type of shoes are actually good. But in general, yes, something more supportive. A lot of people, by the end of the day, the muscles in the feet and the legs are fatigued, especially if they don't have time for, making sure they're hydrated properly. So
right.
Muscles fatigue. Without proper shoe gear, it's going to affect the way your knees align, your hips align, as well as your spine, and can cause a lot of other issues. So in general, definitely a more supportive. You're not looking for a superior motion control like for runners, but you definitely want a neutral type of supportive shoes with adequate cushioning, especially if you're going to be standing all day and are on your feet doing work.
I definitely agree with that. We do have another question from another subscriber. Let's hear what she has to say.
Hey, my husband works out a lot and stands as well for his job, which causes a lot of back pain. What should he search for in a shoe when it comes to supporting alignment and reducing that back pain?
Oh, that is a very, very good question. You guys are the experts. But I definitely want to say, I do feel like when it comes to footwear, and please correct me if I'm wrong, everybody does not have the same type of foot. Everybody's feet is kind of different and unique. Am I wrong about that?
No, you're absolutely right about that.
Okay.
Your feet are going to be completely different than mine. What works best for you will not work for me or for Dr. Nagesh. So based on the person's body weight, height, their feet structure, will also make a big difference.
Wow. Okay. Doc?
I agree. Foot structure, you can't really say, hey, ASICS are going to be good for you or Hoka is going to be good for this person. There's specific styles in each of those shoe brands that are not good for certain foot structures. Someone who's more flat, someone who has a high arch, someone who has arthritis in the front of the foot or in the big toe joint. So there's different type of foot structure can affect the type of shoe you select. So for back alignment and spine alignment, it depends on your foot structure. Someone who's more flat-footed needs more support in general. Someone who has a high arch need more cushioning type at their pressure points.
Understood. Yeah, because some sneakers, when we talk about, some sneakers are narrow. Some sneakers are for wide foot individuals. And I've always had that question. People ask me, hey, man, well, what do you think? And I tell people, well, here's my recommendation, but I'm giving my recommendation based off my foot structure. Because everybody, you might not say, hey, this particular brand is comfortable, and for me, it might work. So everybody out there, these are trained professionals. These are doctors. So listen to what they're saying and take it for face value, okay? I will say this, though. In terms of when it comes to the sneaker breakdown, someone absolutely asked me this question. They said, hey, I love these shoes for everyday wear. And they're talking about the Air Jordan 1 low, the high, the mid. And they're like, but really they're pretty much flat. Is it true that flat shoes are always bad for posture? Now, this right here is an iconic silhouette. The Air Jordan 1 Bread High 85. And I tell everybody, listen, honestly, if it's a flat foot shoe, it's a great shoe to squat in, for working out in. Would you guys not agree with that?
I would.
But when it comes to in terms of posture, when it's talking about your feet, standing up all day in a flat foot shoe, Dr. Nagesh, what do you think about that?
Flat-footed shoes, I don't want to generalize and say they're bad for everyone. It depends on your activity, the person's body weight, amount of walking it entails they're planning on doing in those shoes. It's great for squatting, things of that nature, rowing. But if it's someone who's going to be, up and down the stairs, or someone who's standing all day, like a nurse or an engineer who's at construction sites, uneven surface, where the ankle can roll, you do want some more supportive shoes. So in general, I would say not a bad idea, but it depends on the activity, the body weight, the foot structure, and how much activity their person is intending on doing.
That's a very good point. Dr. Patel?
Oh, I agree with that. Flat shoes are great for when you're doing actually weightlifting and exercising, because it's going to increase your proprioception in your feet, which will then help your muscles to make sure that everything is properly aligned and you can exercise correctly.
Okay.
Right? But I would not go hiking in a flat shoes, for example, because I'm going to be tired. It's uneven surface. My feet muscles are going to fatigue. My leg muscles are going to fatigue.
Wow.
And if you fatigue, then you're going to start compensating. And that compensation not only goes to your lower back, but it can go also all the way up to your neck and shoulder, because now it has to do balance.
So if I'm on a trail, for example, right, with a flat foot shoe, could that cause me to have plantar fasciitis?
Potentially, definitely increases your chance, yes. Different tendinitis. Unless you're used to hiking in that sort of shoe every day and your foot and your legs are accustomed to it. Let's say one day you just decide to wear this flat-footed shoes and go on a 10-mile hike, there's increased chance of blisters, plantar fasciitis, tendinitis, stress fractures. The bones are not used to that amount of stress in an unsupportive shoe, so it definitely increases your chances of all of those conditions.
Okay, understood. Now we also have another question, and this is about the ASICS running shoe. ASICS is known for running performance, but how do we compare the daily wear and overall foot support? Now, I want to say this. I love the ASICS brand. All right. This is one of the Marvel packs. This is the Silver Surfer edition right here. I will say ASICS for me is overall comfortability. I am an avid runner, but when it comes to really talking about sitting down and just walking with a shoe, working out with a shoe, I think honestly, this is almost an all-purpose silhouette, in my opinion. So, Dr. Patel, what do you think about that?
I love ASICS. And
Why?
I'm not getting sponsored here for that.
Why? Why do you love ASICS?
They're so comfortable. And I like the fact that the front of the toe box, it's nice and flexible so that you have full mobility in your foot. The mid right here, the arch support is there, but it's not really high arch support.
Okay.
So a person with flat foot or normal neutral foot is comfortable in there.
Wow.
Right? And then the heel drop back here, it's normal. There's a little bit of height. So then the people with plantar fasciitis or Achilles tendonitis actually has a little bit of less. And this keeps your spine and your pelvis more aligned.
Ooh.
And it doesn't tilt your pelvis forward, where it could cause tightness in your lower back and tightness in your hamstrings and your hip flexors. So neutral, I love them.
Wow. So, Dr. Nagesh, so I got to have a question for you about that. In terms of when it comes to like sneaker wear and things like that, will a sneaker like this be good for like maybe almost an all-purpose use, going to school, comfortability, going out, working out? Like, how do you feel about that in terms of like, because this shoe causes injury? How does this shoe help out individuals?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of ASICS. I personally use that. I'm not getting sponsored. I wish I was, but I'm not getting sponsored by ASICS. So hopefully someone at ASICS is listening to this. But I do love ASICS Kayanos, ASICS GT2000, GT1000, the one you're holding. They are great. I still use them for running. The other companies have caught up to them in terms of like Brooks and Hoka. In general, I would recommend ASICS for a lot of people. for everyday wear and comfortability, like you said.
Wow. Okay. So I got to get a little messy right here, just a little bit messy. So I showed you guys that Air Jordan 1 Bread High 85, and I showed you guys the ASICS. If you guys had to pick a shoe just to wear for fashion wise, what would you pick, Dr. Patel? I'm just curious.
I think I would still go with ASICS.
Ooh. Dr. Nagesh, what you think?
I'm going to go with the Air Jordans. Come on.
Woo!
Those are the classics. So, yeah, I would love to wear an Air Jordan over a nice black suit.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
I'll give you that.
Chat, listen, I'm not getting involved in this right here. I just wanted to get a little messy with him real quick. So y'all heard it. It is a split decision. We also have another question. So based on research with different type of models when it comes to the New Balance, like, for example, what are the best models for standing all day, as well as when it comes to like overall? Here's my opinion. I think New Balances are very comfortable. As a matter of fact, this is an amazing silhouette for trail, for walking, as well as stylish, in my opinion. I love the colorway of this silhouette. And this 1906, the utility is amazing. It is an amazing sneaker. And so, Dr. Nagesh, like, what do you think about when it comes to users wearing New Balances all the time? Because let's be honest, a lot of people say, oh, that's the new grandpa, granddad shoe for the younger generation. So what you think about that?
There is a little bit of truth to that, in the sense that they're historically, they're known for making wider shoes, like the 4E, the 2E.
Yes.
Rather than your Nikes and your Pumas. They tend to not make them as wide, especially some of the older folks who have like bunions, Taylor's bunion, hammer toes. They need wide shoes. They need extra depth. They need a good toe box.
Yes.
But I do like the 1080. I do like the 860 V13. I think they have good stability. They have good cushioning. They do have some motion control. And they're up their game in running shoe as well. I think New Balance is sort of underappreciated for runners in terms of running shoes. But, the 1080 is a good shoe that I personally like.
1080 is definitely a nice silhouette. So, Dr. Patel, like that New Balance, like I know you talked about body posture and things of that nature. So when we're talking about a silhouette that has its overall use for like utility wise, we're just talking about going hiking, wearing something like that. Does that also can assist in helping you to not get injured when it comes to like body posture, spinal health, things like that?
Absolutely. Because more stability you have in your feet, that's going to translate to knee stability, to the hips, and all the way to your pelvis. It's also going to translate all the way up into your neck and shoulders, because then your neck is not going forward trying to keep yourself balanced.
Wow.
So stability goes from ground up. Feet, knees, hips, shoulders, head. Makes
total sense. So I know you guys have two different type of specialties, but with your specialties, how do they work together? Like, so, if I'm having lower back issues, right, would it be very, very smart for someone like me to walk into your office and say, I need chiropractic treatment? Doc, you know what? I need ortho help, right? I need orthopedic assistance. So how do you guys collaborate and work together when it comes to like overall health like that?
Yeah, I mean, usually my first consultation would be like just to see the patient's gait, their walking, if there's any shoulder drooping, looking their spine alignment. Excuse me. Is there a drop in the hip? Is there the gait, the width of gait, the cadence, is the speed at which they walk, the number of steps they take.
Right.
We look at all of that. So I think that definitely goes hand in hand, especially if someone who has like hip issues, or we look at limb length discrepancy, see if there's any discrepancy in the length of their limbs. Do they need a lift on one side? That can affect their spine health. And there's obviously the shoulder alignment. So we look at the patient as a whole, and then we can come to our diagnosis and recommend us, if certain type of orthotics or inserts, or do we need, or can you do over the counter ones? I think it definitely we definitely work hand in hand
Right.
with chiropractors, especially if their spine has been malaligned for, months and months because they weren't diagnosed properly, or they didn't have inserts, or they didn't know they had a limb length discrepancy,
Yeah.
and they've been functioning for so long in such a fashion. Then we recommend seeing a chiropractor, getting the alignment done, and then that way we can, for their limb length, we can do the heel lifts, or they need something more extensive, So I think we work hand in hand with other specialists, especially chiropractors.
Understood. So, Dr. Patel, I went on ahead, I saw a podiatrist, right? I got my feet looked at and everything like that. And then now it goes into your assessment, because what I really noticed about this is that both doctors stated if your hips drop. I've noticed that both of you guys said that. So when it comes to that hip drop, Dr. Patel, what does that really mean for the audience? Can you explain that to them?
Yeah. So when you're looking and when you're walking, one side of your hip, if you put your hands right at your waist, when you're walking, one will be a little bit higher versus lower. As you're walking, the joint in your pelvis they're supposed to go back and forth like that. And then the sacrum in the middle nutates. Everything has to move correctly in order for you to have less stress in your lower back. You can have, for example, if you have tight hamstring, but you only notice tight hamstring on one leg, that's going to cause misalignment of your hip, of your pelvis, hence causing issues in spinal alignment.
Okay. Wow.
So you have to be very aware of your body mechanics in order for you to kind of self-assess, be self-aware of it so that you can go to the right specialty to get help.
Wow.
My job is to assess and then adjust and correct. And then with podiatrists like Dr. Nagesh, the orthotics helps to maintain that alignment a lot longer.
Ooh.
So if you ever heard, I keep going back to chiropractor, I keep having low back pain and never gets better. It's because we've never addressed the root cause. So you have to look at the feet. You have to assess them. Do they need orthotics? Do we need to go to a specialist? And then adjustments. Do we need to do exercise? What kind of exercises? That all goes in hand.
Understood. So you guys are teaching me a lot, and I appreciate this because this is absolutely amazing. I'm loving it. Now, we talked about a New Balance, right? I know you said, hey, New Balance is coming up right now. I did a 100-mile challenge in the New Balance, and I'll tell you, it was amazing. And someone said, hey, I recently did a running challenge in these shoes. We're talking about the Hokas now, all right? I am a fan of Hoka, but I personally find it to be a fantastic shoe. This shoe has a reputation of being one of the most cushioned sneakers out there. So I want to tell you guys this. I did a 100-mile challenge as well in the Hoka Clifton 9. You guys can see this silhouette is beaten up. I will tell you, when it comes to training, I love this sneaker because the midsole is so thick and it's cushioned and it's really good for long distance running. Now, for when it comes to competition and things like that, I would not advise anybody to use this because of the weight of the sneaker, which is not too bad, but at the same time, it's really, really good. So, Dr. Patel, when it comes to the Hoka, when it comes to a thicker midsole running shoe, how is this shoe even really as good as I feel like it makes me feel?
It's good because there's a lot of shock absorbency in there.
Okay.
Right? But this is not something that I would want to stay in them all day long. There are shoes specifically for running, and you need to be able to train afterwards to make sure that you're stretching out your hamstrings and your calves, and being barefoot or being in a lower ground shoe.
Yeah.
But it makes a difference.
Okay.
So you can do a long distance running in it because your feet muscles are not going to fatigue. And that's going to make a difference on your speed, your agility.
Speed is very important when you're running. Trust me, I know all about it. Dr. Nagesh, what about these Hokas, man? I mean, talk to me, because Brooks, we have a lot of competition out there now.
You hit a nail on top of the head. Anyway, what I was trying to say is basically the shoes are heavy. So competition runners, when they look for speed, they look for lightweight, yet giving them stability. So someone who's running for long distance, and and they're trying to improve their speed or that sort of thing, who are like avid marathoners who are like working year in and year out for their speed. I think these are probably not their first choice just because of the weight, but I think they have excellent stability. They have excellent cushioning. Okay. I think they have 3 categories of plush and 2 others that I can't recall right now, but it's on their website. I love the Cliftons. I love the Bondi. Mm-hmm. Great stability and cushioning shoes. And, you know, sometimes even if you're out and about all day, every day, and it entails a lot of walking, I think it's good for everyday wear as well, just like the ASICS and some of the other shoes that we talked about.
Okay. So I definitely appreciate that. And I would like to say, definitely give a shout out to Florida Floats. Man, we appreciate you guys. Has anybody ever heard of Florida Floats?
I've actually been there.
Whoa. You've been there?
I've been there.
No, you haven't.
I have. It's such a cool, like, relaxing facility.
Okay.
And it's sensory deprivation. It's full mind and body, just completely relaxing, especially after a workout. And they have saunas, and it just float on like 1,000 pounds of Epsom salt. Just, you come out feeling refreshed.
You know what? I think we'll have to make my way over there after this podcast really quickly. But I will say, someone has a question for you 2 docs out there. Here we go.
Barefoot shoes seem to be gaining popularity again. My question is, are they good for everybody? Is this a good option for every single foot out there? Or are there any downsides from wearing those, except for just the non-fashionable one?
Dr. Nagesh, barefoot. I mean, I'm talking about my foot is on the ground, and I mean, it almost feels naked. So what's going on with this barefoot situation?
Okay, so there was a big revolution, a few years ago. Barefoot running, minimalist shoes running was a big thing. The reason behind, the pros behind it, was to reduce the amount of knee pathology or knee issues. A lot of people with patellofemoral syndrome, a lot of people with IT band syndrome. The whole idea with minimalist shoes or barefoot running was, instead of landing on the heel, you land on the front of the foot, the ball of the foot. Majority of the runners in barefoot running or minimalist shoe running were forefoot runners, forefoot landing, and that would reduce or move the center of gravity more towards the midline, thereby reducing the knee issues and the knee pain.
Wow.
Well, that led to more issues with stress fractures in the foot, in the metatarsal stress fractures, and more strain on the Achilles because they're eccentrically contracting as you land on the front of the foot and the heel then comes down. So, to answer the question, it's not for everybody.
Okay.
Someone who has a neutral foot structure, who hasn't had any like Achilles injuries, Achilles surgeries,
right,
or Achilles rupture, stress fractures, but who's had an uphill battle with like knee pain, it's definitely okay to start. You can try training in those kind of shoes, but it's not for everybody, especially someone who's had, who are very flat, who pronate excessively. I don't think it's meant for those, but it's definitely good for a certain population who haven't had any sort of like Achilles or stress fractures, I would say.
Understood. Dr. Patel, what do you think about this barefoot situation?
I'm with Dr. Nagesh here. I don't think it's for everybody, but I do think they're great for when you're trying to do weightlifting or when you're working out, because now you have more proprioception in your feet, and that'll help you, send information from your feet all the way to your brain, keeping all those muscles in more of alignment.
Okay.
Now, with proper training, and when I say proper training, exercise and stretching and stability and strengthening, you can work your way up into barefoot shoes.
Okay.
Again, it is not for everybody. Would I recommend my 60-year-old mother To wear barefoot shoes? No. But I can. She'll be going to Dr. Nagesh when she gets in Chicago. It is really important for people to be barefoot inside their house, or at least give your feet the freedom of just ability to make those muscles work.
Okay.
In your feet.
Okay. So do you feel like shoes kind of hinder that natural shape of your foot or of your feet? Like how does that work, you know?
Because if you wear shoes 8 hours a day and you don't take them off until you go to bed, then your foot has been in a constricted position all day. You take your shoes off at home, or you don't take your shoes off at home, and you put in your house slippers. They're in shoes all day long.
Wow.
You don't give those little toes some freedom to move around.
Okay. So, Dr. Nagesh, with that being said, like, does that kind of cause bunions? Like for certain people, like because their shoes are too tight or they have shoes on all day. How does that work?
So bunions specifically, it's multifactorial. There's genetic component to it. There's definitely, females tend to have it more commonly. Shoe gears play a role. Foot structure play a role.
Okay.
It's multifactorial. You can't really pinpoint and say this specific thing causes bunion for everybody. But yeah, constrictive shoes, narrow toe box can increase your chance of getting a bunion. Improper shoe gear, obviously, we talked about that. So it's multifactorial. Can't really pinpoint and say it's one specific.
Gotcha.
Or cause.
Gotcha. I appreciate that. We also have another subscriber with a question. This might be for all of us.
Kids are constantly growing, and with all the sneaker options out there, how do parents know which ones truly support healthy foot development?
Well, you guys are the experts right here. I mean, you guys are trained experts. I'm just trained in the field. When I grab sneakers, I just know the history and how it works for me, what's best. So, Dr. Patel, like how? Like when it comes to kids, when it comes to footwear, like how does that work?
So I like flexible shoes for kids. I like shoes that I can bend. If I can bend it, they can wear it. Especially because it gives their foot complete mobility. I like shoes that are not narrow, especially in their toe boxes, because I want those toes to be wiggling.
Right.
If they can wiggle, they can wear it.
They do grow really fast.
They do grow really fast.
So why spend $300-$400, for sneakers on a 9-year-old? Man, like the next week they already growing out of their shoes already, right?
Yes, and you already know all about that.
Ooh, tell me about it. Dr. Nagesh, like when it comes to kids' footwear, definitely for that subscriber's question, like, man, how do you focus on that aspect?
Yeah, kids, it's definitely, you can't think of them as mini adults, right? So they, until they are able to have a conversation with, or like talk to you and tell you if there's certain problems with shoes, you won't know. Like you don't know if it's too tight, you don't know if it's too big, until they get to a point where they can actually recognize those things.
Okay.
So I agree with Dr. Patel. When they begin walking around the age of 1, they need the sensory feedback. Their bones are growing, they're developing, their muscles are developing.
Right.
They don't have, most kids don't have like tendonitis, fasciitis.
Right.
Very, very, very rare, So you're not putting them in these extra supportive, extra cushioning shoes. Kids, they're running around, playing. So main goal is to just protect their little toes if they're out in the playground, but in general, you don't want them in big, bulky, supportive shoes.
Okay.
Something close enough to protect their feet, their delicate skin, and they're up and about jumping, playing, so just enough to cushion those impacts, but nothing extensively like for adults.
Okay.
The one thing, the other thing with kids in general rule of thumb is the size, unless they're able to tell you that, hey, it's too big until they get to that age. You want to look for like from the end of the shoe to the tip of the longest toe, like a thumb width gap. Okay. Is generally a good size. But using a Brannick device or the shoe size measuring device at a the running shoe store and getting their feet checked, they're growing obviously, like, periodically. Right. It's always a good idea instead of just, hey, let me look online. These look cute. They're 3T or whatever. And they may have been 3T like a few months ago. You don't know. So it's good to periodically check it on the device, on the Brannick device, and then have them try them on and run around in the store. Understood. So the question I have for you as well, like, it's becoming really, really hard to walk into a shoe store. It doesn't matter what type of shoe we're talking about at this point, even though we're talking about sneakers, but just shoes in general for kids. Why is it so hard now to find wide shoes, wide sneakers for kids? Back in the day, it was very easy. Now it's like you have to search online to find wide shoes for kids. You know why? Why is that? It could be just that we're in a different era. Could be just the overall trends and everything keeps changing. It's hard to pinpoint a reason exactly as to why, but I think we're in a totally different era. Right. There's always constant development in technology and things of that nature. So I think that you can attribute that to changes in that. Yes, times are changing, and I just want to tell you guys this right now, man. Like, to all brands out there, what's going on with y'all? There are children out here with wide feet. We need to have those sneakers, those shoes readily available for our kids. Now, I will say this, what? High-end sneakers, a lot of people go crazy for the resale value because of the exclusivity of these sneakers. And some people say, hey, man, when I've seen sneakers like the Air Jordan 1 Dior, the Air Max, I love that silhouette, right? The Louis Vuitton, the Air Force Ones, they sell for crazy reprices, right? But with all these expensive, hyped up sneakers, right? High-end sneakers, are they actually really good for overall foot health and development? So, man, Dr. Patel, we're talking about dropping, we're talking about the spinal, we're talking about feet and everything, hamstrings. Like, are these sneakers like even more special than a sneaker that may cost us $150?
Well, one thing is for sure, they're not going to exercise in those shoes.
Whoa.
So
Facts.
They're playing it. They're wearing them for fashion, right? Okay. So it's up to them and how they want to do it.
Y'all hear it. Dr. Nagesh, what's going on with these $1,000 shoes, man? Is this like an improvement? Like, I come in, my feet hurt, and I'm wearing $1,000 sneakers, or maybe they might rub my feet a little bit better. Is there a myth about this? Personally, I don't think I would wear it. Even for like a fashionable event. Okay. Rather spend my money on something else. But pure fashion, if I was into like the super high end shoes, yes, I would rock them if I was taking my wife to dinner. For sure. Probably not for any like trail running and extensive workouts, CrossFit, stuff like that. Probably not. But yeah, a nice date. Sure. Okay. So what is it safe to say, like, just because a sneaker might cost you $1,000 doesn't necessarily mean it's really promoting foot and a body alignment and adjustment for you where it may not be as comfortable? Is that like the consensus right here?
I don't know about comfort because I've never worn $1,000 shoe.
Okay, fair.
That helps. I'm gonna switch gear just a little bit.
Please do.
Okay, so when you wear cheap high heels versus when you wear a quality made high heel that's a couple $100, okay, your feet feel the difference. There is better stability. There is better structure. There is legit difference when it comes to heels. Okay. As far as the sneaker goes, I haven't spent $1,000 on sneakers for me to tell you that.
Okay. So for the ladies, out there who's spending $400 on right? Those very, very nice 6-inch heels opposed to going to like somewhere where it's like $50. You heard it.
I didn't say 6-inch heels. Maybe 4-inch?
Maybe 4-inch. Okay, that's better. 4-inch. Okay. There's a difference. I do want to absolutely give a shout out to Reshoevn8r. Listen, we spend $1,000 on kicks, $300 on kicks. Somebody here has done it, right? But you know what? When it comes to wearability and prolonging your sneakers, this is the best product on the market, and that is the Reshoevn8r Stain and Water Repellent. All you have to do is go down into my description, click on the Reshoevn8r link. It is free to sign up. I guarantee during checkout, if you use my promo code J_Elevate, I will save you 10% off of all of your Reshoevn8r product needs. Listen, hot sauce, mud, rain, whatever it may be, will fall off your sneaker and protect your sneaker for the entire day. Reshoevn8r.com.
Wait, so all you have to do is just spray it?
Shake, spray 6 inches away.
On the shoe?
On the shoe, you are protected for the whole entire day.
That'd be so good for the kids. They come back muddy with those shoes.
Oh, it works out very, very well.
Thank you.
Trust me. It definitely does. Wow. This has been an amazing segment. And I really do appreciate both of these doctors coming out, spending time with us. Dr. Nagesh, now you have a business practice somewhere in the Chicagoland area, Oakland, Illinois?
Oakland, Illinois, yes. We're called Foot and Ankle Associates. There's 6 others in our group. We've been in practice for decades. I've been practicing for almost 10 years.
Wow.
We have a separate Advocate Christ podiatric surgical residency program at Advocate Christ Hospital. It's a level 1 trauma.
Okay.
We see a ton of sports medicine, tons of trauma, a lot of diabetics. So we see a wide variety of pathology, and we're constantly, we're busy all the time.
Okay. So if someone like me, I fly into Chicago, I need to see you. When I come to Chicago, I need to see you. So what's your address?
Our address is, we're actually moving May 5th.
Okay.
Address is 4650 Southwest Highway in Oakland, but we're moving to 9400 South Cicero Avenue, Suite 100 in a couple of weeks. But wow. Yeah, it's close to Midway, people fly to Midway all the time. Yeah, if you ever need me, Jay, just holler at me.
Oh, don't worry. I'm going to give you a call. And listen, Dr. Patel, listen. She going to get me right, and she been keeping me right. Okay? She has been getting me right. So listen, I'm just telling you right now, this has been an amazing segment. I appreciate everybody out there. Chat, you already know. Like, share, subscribe for real sneaker content. You know the model. Peace.